All right, guys, we're coming back here. Took a couple days break there in between from the big Iron Maiden album ranking video. That was super fun to do. That lasted us a couple months there, and we just flew on through. And we had the new album Senjutsu come out during all that. So that was just such a fun time. Really, one of the most fun ones I've done. But now we're gonna kind of move on to a discography that's a little bit shorter before I move on to the next big one that we do. And we're gonna be talking about. Well, it's kind of hard to put a label on these guys, but we're talking about, I'd maybe call them like psychedelic prog metal. Of course, we're talking about the band Tool. And today, we're looking at their EP, their debut EP. Came out in 1992, Opiate. Really weird looking album cover there, but it's cool. They're kind of known for their album art, especially like some of the stuff that comes with them, as we'll see later on in their stuff. But, of course, this is just an EP, so it's not that long of a listen. It's probably like 25, 26 minutes. But that doesn't discredit it. Like, I'll count EPs just like I would, let's say if I was doing Queensryche, I'd be counting their debut EP because it stands strong enough. And it's all material that's not on their other albums. So, with that being said, we knock it off with their first song to be pressed on anything. Sweat. Little quick track there, and it just gives you a good feel for what these guys are early on these first two albums. Really raw kind of production here. In fact, some of the tracks are live. But Sweat, that's a fast-paced track that's really cool. I love the bass tone. You don't have Justin Chancellor on bass, like future releases and such. But this guy, I forget his name, but he's captures that same kind of bass tone and feel, but not quite as well. And this is before the band's kind of proggier stuff they ended up getting into with your big like 20-minute songs and stuff like that. So they're just a lot more raw and really heavy. In fact, I would even go as far to say this and their first full-length album, Undertow, are the most heavy, are their heaviest releases. But yeah, Sweat really gets you a good, really solid feel for these first two, like kind of what the band's early sound was. Then you've got Hush, track number 2. Again, another solid one, kind of follows along the same thing that Sweat's doing, just, really vicious and really a lot of like yelling and even some screaming vocals from Maynard, who's got an incredible voice. And, I think a lot of times, he doesn't do a lot of the screaming stuff later on, but, man, you hear it real early on here. And it's heavy. Then you got my personal favorite off here, Part of Me, and that's kind of become like a Tool classic to me. I absolutely love that song. Super hooky, while still being heavy as hell. I love the build up to the chorus and the kind of offbeat verses and time signatures they got going through those verses. So I guess that's kind of a precursor a little bit, not the length, because it's only a 3-minute song, but, just kind of the offbeat stuff they're known for, too. And then we've got 2 live tracks, which, of course, this is their first release, so these tracks weren't on anything else. They were released. They didn't really record them in the studio, I'm guessing, or if they did, they're out there somewhere. But, so we've got Cold and Ugly. And, man, that's another really cool one. The live feel of these guys is so damn good that, if it didn't have, like, the very beginning of the Cheers and the ending of the Cheers, you would think it's just right off the studio. These guys are known to put on a hell of a show even still today live. So, I guess they could still even do it right back then. And Cold and Ugly is really the better, in my opinion, of the 2 live tracks you got on this little EP. Then we've got Jerk Off. So, these 2 are actually, it looks like the first 3 are like 2-3-minute songs. These last 3 are like 4 minutes and up. Weirdly enough, Cold and Ugly and Jerk Off, the 2 live tracks, are exactly 4 minutes and 10 seconds, both of them. So it's kind of strange, but yeah, both those live songs kind of give you a cool feel how the band are live. But again, really heavy stuff. Then you end it with probably my second favorite track off here, Opiate, the title track. And this one's a little bit lengthier, 5 minutes, 22 seconds. Nothing compared to the lengths that they would end up going to, but very, very cool stuff. maybe even the heaviest track off here with, you know, some of the lyrics and stuff going on, talking about, you know, God and him have needs and they both want to rape you. I mean, these guys get some dark lyrics up in here, which is pretty cool, you know, very creative stuff, and they will continue to do that throughout their discography. But, yeah, Opiate is just an incredible track. And then you kind of get a little bonus track, I guess. It's not really, it's like if you wait a couple minutes after the title track, you get like, I forget what it's even called, but it's kind of like a funny thing, kind of shows some of the band's humor. Like they're talking about some, it's just real strange. And he's talking about like, oh, his buddy is on acid and thinks he's a fire hydrant and tries to pee on him and just weird stuff like that. It's really funny though. I like that they included that little bonus thing on there. But yeah, absolutely, just really cool EP. Again, this is kind of the early stuff. This really, you could tack these right on Undertow and they would fit right in. This really is just the precursor to Undertow, which would be their first full-length album. But yeah, solid EP. I believe this is our first EP we're actually covering on this channel here. But, you know, well, what a way to start with this really solid one. No bad tracks at all. I would say a lot of these are, you know, Tool classics, but to me, I would say Part of Me is definitely one of them, and so is the title track. So, and then, of course, the other ones are really cool, too. So, a solid EP here. You know, this video ain't gonna go on too long because again, it's only a couple of tracks, and they're real, you know, most of them are real short. But a solid EP, hell of a way to get going, jump into Tool, and you know, we're just gonna keep seeing this band evolve and evolve through each of their releases. So, yeah, I would love to hear any of you Tool fans out there, anybody new to them who wants to maybe check them out. I'd highly suggest listening to this thing and maybe going along through these listens with me. But yeah, I want to see what, you know, some more Tool fans think of this thing. You don't hear a lot of people talk about this, so I'd love to hear some thoughts and stuff on that. But anyways, guys, tune in next time for their first full-length album. We'll be reviewing Undertow. But anyways, yep, like, comment, subscribe, and thanks, guys.